This is a GWM Jolion. It wasn't a bad looking vehicle by any metric, but somebody at GWM said to themselves, you know something, we can make it even better. So say hello to the all new GWM Jolion. This is the GWM Jolion Pro. It comes in at $254,950 for the luxury and $274,950 for the ultra as seen in this video. Now looking at the Pro, you could be forgiven for thinking it's a completely new vehicle, because at first glance, looking at the exterior of the Jolion Pro, everything seemed to have been redesigned. But this is actually a mid-generation refresh. So think of it as a facelift, but it just got carried away and changed a bunch of things to make it look more aggressive and sporty, while adding in some features that the previous generation didn't have. But first things first, what are the exterior dimensions? Well, comparing it to the most popular SUV right now in the Trinidad market, the Honda Vezel, the Jolion Pro comes in at 4,470 millimeters, which is 140 millimeters longer than the Honda Vezel. In terms of width, it comes in at 1,898 millimeters, which is 108 millimeters wider than the Honda Vezel. In terms of height, the Jolion Pro comes in at 1,625 millimeters, or 45 millimeters taller than a Honda Vezel. In terms of the wheelbase, the Jolion Pro comes in at 2,700 millimeters, which is 90 millimeters longer than a Honda Vezel. Now side by side, you probably won't see difference in size, but on paper, the Jolion Pro is longer, wider, taller, and has a longer wheelbase. So with the basics out of the way, let's take a closer look at the front of the Jolion Pro, starting with that massive front grille. I can't lie, it reminds me of a Mercedes AMG. The newer AMGs has that large grille to the front. Not saying it looks bad, it looks really well. It just reminds me of a Mercedes AMG. But when you look at the Jolion Pro from the side, the top almost looks like a shark's nose. When you look at a shark, the top is always pointed out. It has this menacing shark look to it. You also do get, just like the previous generation, all LED headlights. So you have LED low beam, LED high beam. Your daytime running lights are also LEDs. The one unfortunate thing I have to say here is that the turn signals are not sequential. They would have looked so much more badass if they were sequential. Like if they started at the bottom and just went out and over, it would have looked even better. But we don't have sequential turn signals. What we do have is separate turn signals and separate daytime running lights. So even when the turn signals are activated, you still have functioning daytime running lights, not a switchback style system. You also have this large front lip here that has these shark fin aero pieces on the left and the right of the front bumper lip. Something similar can be found on the 8.6 GT as well. It has a bit of aero to it. In terms of wheels, you have large 18-inch wheels, 225, 55, 18s to be exact. You also do have your power folding mirrors with your turn signal repeaters and your 360 camera. Coming down low, you have this black strip that runs from the front all the way to the back, and it carries over with the shark fin ending at the rear as well. So you have the shark fin to the front and also a shark fin at the rear. This is left and right. You also have dual fake exhaust tips. Most vehicles these days are coming with dual exhaust tips that are fake. The real exhaust is hiding below. You have a diffuser style type thing going here with a rear reflector. Here you have your exhaust tucked away and hiding neatly below there. And you can also get a closer look at your 206 or 8.11 inches of ground clearance. This is more than enough to get you over most obstacles you will face on the road. I also like how everything is tucked away neatly below the Jolion Pro. Nothing is low hanging to get caught up or anything. Everything is just neatly tucked away and flat. Coming around back, like I said previously, complete redesign. Looking at the Jolion Pro and the previous Jolion, you can't even tell without the name that they are the same vehicle. You have this lighting bar that goes around the entire rear, and just like the front, your whole lighting assembly are LEDs. So you don't have to switch anything out to put in LEDs after the fact. You have your brake light, park light, your turn signals, your reverse light tucked away neatly in the center there. You also have this reverse camera, which is part of your 360 camera system. You have a rear wiper and you have a spoiler on top with a third brake light. You also have these bulges left and right, which are reflectors. I honestly don't like it. I don't like it on no vehicle I see them on. I don't like it on the Suzuki Grand Vitara, and I also don't like it here. I don't think we need all the reflectors behind. If you can't see, then don't drive. But I'm sure most vehicles are coming with these reflectors because of some safety regulations some part of the world, but I honestly don't see the need for them. But I'm not the car designers. Stepping into the trunk, you have a total of 337 liters with the rear seats folded up, and that goes up to 1,133 liters with the rear seats folded down. And as always, that could have been more, but your hybrid components are sitting at the rear, as well as a 12-volt car battery. Also, no spare tire, you have a tire repair kit, an inflator, and your tools. But you still do have more than enough room to carry luggage and groceries and whatever else people carry in their vehicles day to day. You have no 12-volt power outlet, but you do have an LED light so you can see what's taking place. At first I thought this was a 12-volt power outlet, but it's not. It seems like it's some type of hook. You also do get your retractable divider, so you can pull it, it locks into place. You all know how this works. You have some separation going on there. You pull it again, and it retracts back into its holding canister. Stepping into the interior of the Jolion, you have a mixture of soft touch and hard plastic. For example, on top of here, hard plastic, then you have this kind of chrome accent piece here, hard plastic. Then you have a soft touch material in the middle here, and then where your elbows rest, soft touch. Below that, you have hard plastic, that is where your bottle holder / cup holder lives. In terms of seating, even though it's not as big as the 8.6, its bigger brother, you have more than enough room to fit most people at the rear. With the front seats at their current location, which is just by the B pillar, you can fit somebody who is at least 6 feet at the rear. Granted, their knees would be touching the rear of the front seats, but they're going to fit comfortably. And this is aided in the fact that if you do have 3 persons at the rear, the center part, there's no transmission tunnel. It's completely flat. When I say flat, I mean like literally flat. So if somebody is sitting at the rear, they won't need to spread their feet apart. They can keep their feet to the center, which is actually going to make the ride a lot more comfortable than if you have a large transmission tunnel at the rear. Next, you have rear AC vents and 2 USB ports with a power outlet. The rear AC vents don't have any controls for them, it's just the vents to get air at the back. And the USB power outlets are just standard USB, not USB-C. I would have loved to see USB-C here because that is the way the world is going. Below that, you do have a pocket. You can probably fit your phone there while it's charging if you don't have it in your hand. But most of us have our phone in our hands anyway, so this pocket will be empty most of the times. You do get reading lights, both left and right. They are LEDs, along with your handle to hold on to, and you have your coat hanger hook there. Stepping to the front, in terms of seats, you have powered seats, left and right. The driver's seat is ventilated and heated. The passenger seat is only ventilated, not heated. But the seats are pretty comfortable and pretty nice. One thing GWM seems to be experimenting with is the design of their seats. It would have been nice if it was a two-tone color though. Like let's say this top half here was like a red and the bottom half was like a white. But I'm guessing the black is universal because most people would prefer a black seat over a white seat. They don't get dirty as quickly. But if you take a close look at the seats, you can actually see the little indentations where the air comes out for your ventilation. It feels like you are sitting on an air hockey table. The same way how the air hockey table pushes air up from the table to levitate the puck so you can hit it. You are the puck, except you are not levitating, but you are feeling the air. So your bum and your back just feels cool regardless of whatever the temperature is outside or inside. Now generally the cabin remains the same throughout all the different models under the GWM Haval line. They look similar, with some slight variations in the trim pieces and the button placements and stuff. But if you have sat in any Haval of this generation or the previous generation, you will be quite familiar with how things look and operate. You have soft touch materials on top here, your center console / armrest, and once open, you get access to the pocket. This is what it looks like with an A54 in it, sideways and standing up. It's not too big, but it's also not too small. You have your cup holders here, one big, one small, push to open, push to close. Moving forward, you have your regular park and brake switches. Then you have your dial, which is actually a dial to turn to shift gears. Then you have your wireless charging pad to the front. But here you have what I will always call a cell phone holder. I'm not sure if that's what it actually is, but it just fits cell phones so conveniently that I think they built it just for cell phone holding. It just feels like that. To the front of all of that, you have your wireless charging pad. You put your phone there, it will charge wirelessly. And then underneath that, you have a 12-volt power outlet that is located right here. And on the other side, which is the right side, you have 2 more USB outlets. One is for power only, and one is for data. And then above that, by area of your mirror, you have this very conveniently placed USB outlet for your dashcam. This makes dashcam installation very easy. Anyone can do it. You have to route no wires anywhere. You just stick your dashcam to the windshield, you run a short USB plug into here, bloop, and you are good to go. Moving further back, you have your center area here, which is where your light is located. You also have your panoramic sunroof controls, and you have your sunshades holder, which is going to fit right to the back here. Left and right sunshades has a vanity mirror that is illuminated with 2 lights on either side. Behind that, you have your panoramic sunroof. This is what it looks like. The one thing I don't like about it, and I don't like it in any vehicle that has it, is that once the sunroof is completely closed and the sunshade is also completely closed, there is still some light seepage. It's not completely blocked off. I think that if I wanted light to come in, I would keep it open. The mere fact that I have it closed is because I want the roof to be completely closed off. I don't like light seepage when it's closed, as you can see here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But I do know some people who like that open feel because they are claustrophobic. So I'm guessing there is a market out there for it. It's just not my cup of tea. Plus, I'm guessing you can always just tint the glass very, very dark, and that should fix the problem because there'll be less light seepage. But it's up to you. Whatever you like, you can do with it. It's your vehicle. And before I forget, yes, there is a glove box. I tend to forget filming the glove box, and then people ask in the comments, you didn't show the glove box, so this is the glove box for the Jolion. You also do get one touch up down on all 4 windows, which is something, you know, I love to see. One touch up down. You have all your steering wheel controls at your fingertips. There's no paddle shifters in this model though, but you have everything else that you would need. Behind that, you have your 7-inch instrument cluster, which shows you everything you would expect an instrument cluster to show you. At this point, there's nothing more to say about this because all the GWM models have a clear, high-resolution, crisp display. Behind that, you have your heads-up display. It projects from this little box here onto your windshield, so you're seeing your speed, it recognizes speed signs and so forth. Next, let's talk about a 12.3-inch infotainment screen. This is the heart of everything. Mostly everything is controlled via here. You have some physical buttons below, but that's like hard presets, like a defog, your display on off, your 360 camera, your AC recirculate, things like that. But everything else, from your heated seats to your radio, everything is controlled via this screen here. And again, there's not much to discuss here because like all the other GWM models, the screen is pretty high resolution, it's crisp, it's not laggy. As you see, I touch something and it reacts. So there's no need to go over everything I've said in previous videos. At this point, it's to be expected. This is your seating controls. Like I said before, both driver and passenger heated, but only the driver's seat is ventilated. I'm not sure why most car manufacturers treat the passenger so badly, but maybe you're not paying any kind of installment, so no ventilated seats for you. And obviously, it does have a 360 camera, which operates as effectively as all the other GWM products. You can either look straight back, straight forward, have a top-down view. You have guidelines for the front and the back. So whether you are driving out or backing in, you can see precisely where the vehicle will end up just by watching the lines. And you have this for the front and the rear. You put the vehicle in reverse, it switches to the rear. You put it to the front, it switches to the front. You also have a different mode, so you can look at a wide angle view of the front and a wide angle view of the rear. Or you can have a top-down view on the left and a front or back view on the right. Or you can have a top-down view left and right. One is zoomed in and one is zoomed out. So you have all your modes that you can think of here. On the dash, under the infotainment screen, you now have a button dedicated just for parking. So it's no longer buried in a menu on the display. You push this button and it starts looking for a parking spot for the vehicle. The tricky part about it is that it will show up on the screen saying it's looking, and you will see the radar pointing to whatever direction is currently set to, left or right, but it won't actually show you a parking spot unless you turn your indicator on left or right. So you have to see the spot and like, okay, I want to go there or I want to go over there. You turn the indicators on and then it will detect, okay, I want to park on the left or I want to park on the right. Now, a few people have said, we have seen the self-parking, but only on GWM's compound. It's a controlled environment. You will have cars spaced out. How will it perform in a real-world scenario in a parking lot with vehicles parked both front and rear of it? Well, we took it to the Extra Foods compound, and that's exactly what we're going to test out here now. It's a tricky spot because we're in between lots of cars. Now, while you may say that you can park a vehicle faster, pretty sure you can, but there are some persons who still struggle with parking like this. You're in a tight spot, you don't want to hit anything, let the computer take control. After all, in theory, it shouldn't do anything that will cause it damage, so it shouldn't bounce into any vehicle. If it's getting too close, it will stop. And the good thing is you can never really park crooked, because even after it backs into the spot, it then goes back out again just to make sure that it's in between the lines evenly on the left and the right.
You're going to straighten up now, so you're going to get equal space between the two vehicles. So you see the marker line here as to how far it's going to go.
There is also a park out option, which you have to be in some kind of obstacle course to work, because when we tried it, it kept saying the path is clear, park your own vehicle. So it doesn't just park out just because it's there. It has to be a tricky park, and then you will have access to the park out function. But as you're already on the move, let's take a Jolion Pro out in the road and see how it drives. You know, it's one thing to see a vehicle in a showroom with showroom lighting, because they try to make the vehicles look as nice as possible in a controlled environment. Another thing to see it on the lot at the dealership. But when you see it out on the road, that's the first time you can actually see it in natural lighting, how it would look in and around other vehicles. And I must say, it carries through that aggressive look even when you see it out on the road. It just has that aggressive sporting look to it while in motion as well in natural lighting. But driving a Jolion Pro, it's nothing different to what you would expect if you have ever driven any of the GWM Havals before, which isn't a bad thing because all of them drive pretty good. But the one letdown I would say is that they needed to put a turbocharger in this. And the reason why I say that, the Jolion Pro is powered by a 1.5 litre engine that is paired to a hybrid setup. Together they push out 188 horsepower and 276 foot-pounds of torque, which really ain't bad numbers. That's right up there with most vehicles on the road right now. But what I've noticed, and you will only realize this if you drive the bigger brother, the 8.6, that is also a hybrid setup with a turbocharger. So what tends to happen, from a standstill, the hybrid component is most powerful. So what happens in this bigger brother, the 8.6, off the line from a traffic light or wherever, under heavy acceleration, you get an initial boost of the line from the hybrid component, and by the time you get about, let's say, 30, 40, 50 kilometers per hour, the turbocharger has already spooled up. So you get that perfect handover between hybrid to internal combustion engine, with the hybrid then taking a backseat. It's still there, but it's less of a functioning force compared to how it was at the start. In this case, you don't have a turbocharger. So what tends to happen, you get off the line, you get an initial boost, you get some wheel spin, but then when you reach about 60 kilometers per hour, you can tell that you are now on the internal combustion engine. The hybrid component is now in the background, and the engine is now 1.5 litre pulling you along. It's not slow, but it's noticeable. Now if you just jumped into the Jolion Pro without driving the 8.6, you would never realize that there's a difference in the handover between the hybrid to the internal combustion engine. Because like I said, I am not saying it's slow. That was on normal and it actually got up there. For example, this is at 100 kilometers per hour right here, and it's going to overtake the camera car, which means it has to go above 100 kilometers per hour, and you see how effortlessly it did it. So it's not slow. It's just me saying that had they put a turbocharger in this, it would have been even better than it already is. Now in terms of safety features, you know it's packed to the brim. You have all the usual suspects found in most GWM vehicles. For example, you have a fall collision warning with emergency braking, lane keeper assist, lane departure warning, lane center keeping, smart dodge, intersection assistant, traffic signal recognition with intelligent speed assistance, blind spot detection, lane change assist, rear cross traffic warning, emergency lane keeping, and driver fatigue detection. That's in case you're falling asleep. The rest of the features are on screen now. It's packed to the brim, so it's looking good, it drives good, and it has all the safety features. But how is the rated fuel economy? Well, the Jolion Pro has a 55 litre fuel tank. It's rated to take super gasoline. So with 55 litres of fuel and 5.1 litres per 100 kilometers, you have a theoretical range of 1,070 kilometers. Now these tests are conducted under ideal circumstances. We don't drive in ideal circumstances. So unless you are willing to hypermile everywhere you go, which is highly unlikely, I would say aim for about 850 kilometers of range if you are driving economically. If you are throwing it everywhere you go, or you spend most of your time in stop-go traffic, you may not get the full 1,000 kilometers of range that is rated for. Now lastly, like I said at the start of the video, you have two models, the Luxury, which goes for $254,950, and the Ultra, as seen in this video, which goes for $274,950. Now, functionally, they are the same vehicle when you look at them from the outside. One doesn't have a bigger headlight than the other or a different daytime running light. They look the exact same. If you can do without things like the panoramic sunroof, 360 camera, the heated seats to the front, minor things like that, then you can go for the Luxury for $254. But if you must have every creature comfort, then you can go for the $274 version. And it even comes with the same warranty and service package like all the others, which is 5 years or 100,000 kilometers on the servicing, 6 years or 150,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, on the warranty for the vehicle itself, and 8 years warranty on the hybrid battery. But as always, don't ever take my word for it. Go, see for yourself, shop around, and then come back and tell me if you agree or not.